Welcome to the Jackson Heights Cobra Cast and the Coach Wick Show. The Cobras' playoff run comes to an unfortunate halt as the Cobras fall short to the Rossville Bulldogs. Coach, thank you for being here.
Yeah, thank you guys for having me.
So let's talk about the game from 2 weeks ago. Since last week was Thanksgiving, we didn't really record. Rossville was a great opponent, and they were able to beat us 21-18. How do we feel about the team's performance?
You know, overall, we were happy with the team's performance. I thought we went out there and I thought we left it all out on the field. You can say about the weather conditions if we didn't play on a sloppy field and if it would have been a little bit different, but that was just two well matched football teams. On paper, we were pretty much even. On the scoreboard, we were pretty much even. We just made a couple more mistakes than they did during the course of the game, and they took advantage of it. And, they made their 2-point conversions and extra points, and we missed our extra points and 2-point conversions, and that decided the football game. There wasn't a lot of special teams or punts that went on during the course of the game. We had one fumble, so we had a turnover. They didn't have a turnover. But overall, I felt like we executed all right. I think there were plays out there to be had, but we just didn't make them, and that's sometimes just how the cookie crumbles. And it was unfortunate, but you can't take away this season and the lasting impression that it had on Jackson Heights, and I'm just very, very proud of this team and the senior class.
Yeah, so speaking of the weather again, the game we played was sloppy. Literally, mud was flying everywhere. The moment you touched the ground, you were covered in mud. I mean, even me standing on the sideline as a player, I was getting covered in mud. This was our second time playing in some rough conditions. How do you feel like the team dealt with the weather?
I felt like both teams dealt with the weather pretty good. It is what it is with the weather-wise. That's why you were in Kansas, and in November you never know what you're going to get. And that's why we made our offense where we can run and pass. We weren't just diverse run, or we weren't just, passing at every single play. So I felt like our offense was very, very diverse, and we had to pigeonhole it a little bit there because of the conditions on Friday. But like I said, overall, the weather wasn't a major factor. You never want to make it as an excuse, but I feel like if it was a different playing field, if it was a different surface, it might have been a different outcome, but that's just the way the cookie crumbles. And like I said, I'm nothing more than proud of this football team, and they accomplished so much during their time here at Jackson Heights, and it's just a celebration. We should just celebrate them, and unfortunate circumstances happen, but it's one of those things we just got to celebrate and, chalk it down for a monumental win, against an Olpe team earlier in the playoffs, and then a Riverside team again for the second time. So it's always hard to beat a team 2 times during the course of the year. So there's so many positives to go through this season. So we can just chalk it up for a program, just making another step for building this program and moving forward.
So the Kansas 2025 high school football season came to an end last week in all classifications. In the 1A game, Sterling was the winner over Rossville, 35-34. What were your thoughts and opinions about that game?
We knew it was going to be a good game going into it, and going back to our Rossville game a little bit, we felt like we could expose them a little bit on the offense and defensive lines, and we weren't able to do that on the previous Friday just because of the weather conditions on our offensive line really not getting traction and using their speed to their advantage. And Sterling was able to do that a little bit more on Saturday against a Rossville team. And Sterling is predominantly flex bone. They run it 95% of the time. I think they passed it 20 times maybe throughout the whole entire season. And it was a very, very back and forth football game. And there at the end, Rossville missed an extra point, and then Sterling goes down and scores with a minute left and makes the extra point to go up 1, and then Rossville goes down the field and does nothing with it and ends up 35-34. So, when you're looking at the 1A bracket, it was 5 teams legitimate shot that could win it all. Sterling, of course, they beat Smith Center 14-6 in the sub-state round, so both of those teams were even par. Sterling beat Rossville in the state finals by 1 point, even par. Rossville beat us by 3 points, even par. And then you're even talking about Colgan in the mix there. They lost to Rossville by a touchdown. So when you're thinking about the grand scheme of things in the 1A level, there was 5 teams that legitimately could have won the state title, and we were one of those. So that's definitely something as well to be proud of.
So, Coach, what were your overall opinions about this season? Through all the ups and downs, positive, negatives, what do you think about it as a whole?
This was just a great year. It starts with your seniors. It was just an enjoyable football team to coach. It was an enjoyable atmosphere. It was a family atmosphere. Practices were fun to go to. It just went by super, super fast. Whenever you have an enjoyable football season and a competitive and a winning football season, it always tends to go really fast. If you would have asked me in week 8, it felt like week 1. Now we're done with football. All the state championships are over with, and it felt like we were in August 2 weeks ago. So that's one good thing about football season, and having a season like we had is it makes the year go by super, super fast. I can't believe that we are a week and a half, 2 weeks away from Christmas break. Just the resiliency of this football team, the competitiveness of this football team, the togetherness of this football team. It was one of the better football teams I've ever coached since I've been here at Jackson Heights, just from a standpoint of enjoying practice, enjoying the grind, enjoying the weight room, enjoying working hard. And I think that's what this senior class is going to be wrote down of being one of the hardest working classes we've had to go through here through Jackson Heights, and they've laid the foundation. The foundation had already been laid, but they put another brick on the layer, making this football program one of the best in the state, and hopefully one that can be talked about to years to come.
So, Coach, now since the season is over, what will you be doing? Preparing for next season, taking time with family? What's Coach Wick's game plan for the offseason?
So my game plan for the off season is a little bit of downtime. I got about 2 weeks here to, turn in all the equipment, talk to Coach Plattner about what we want to install, going into the next year. We're going to have a very new team, new faces, especially at the quarterback spot. We bring back a lot of skill positions, though. Hayden's coming back. Sir's coming back. Braden's coming back on the offensive line. Blaine's coming back. Yourself is coming back on the offensive line. Michael's coming back on the offensive line. So we have pieces coming back. But with that being said, it's always going to be that grind in the weight room. Being the new weights teacher, that's going to be my total focus here. Starting the second semester is just his spring football. For the weights program, we're going to get everybody initiated into a new program. We're going to get everybody initiated into goals. What's the goal they put forth for themselves for new maxes and for a new weight. Going into the new year, we need to get bigger, faster, and stronger. Football season never ends, especially being a head coach. You're always trying to implement new things. You're always trying to talk to your coordinators, see if you can implement this different package or formation compared to this different formation. And Coach Plattner is very, very receptive of, everybody coming in with different ideas and putting in a collective playbook. And we already got our playbook established for next year. We're going to add a couple new things, a couple new formations, trying to get our best athletes the ball and trying to get our playmakers the ball in space and on the edge. So, 2026 is right around the corner, so hopefully all of Cobra Nation will stay hungry, stay ready, and get ready for another run next year.
So, Coach, what are your final words or thoughts to the seniors, the team, and to the fans?
To the Cobra Nation, just thank you so much for coming out each and every week and supporting our boys. There's nothing better than looking up in the stands and seeing a packed Cobra Nation and everybody cheering and screaming for everybody in black or green or white. And I want to give a special shout out to all the moms out there and to all the families that helped during the course of the year, especially with the meals on Friday nights or Fridays after school and the breakfasts on Friday mornings. I don't know if there's a lot of people in the state that can say that they have a meal every morning before the games on Friday and a meal before every home game on Friday. So we're very, very special. We're very, very lucky to be where we're at. And to the senior class, the sky's the limit for you. Okay, never pigeonhole yourself or never tell yourself that you can't do anything. Always chase your dreams and go out there. And the sky's the limit for this class. And just keep working hard, keep grinding, and you'll get to where you want to be.
So, Coach, thank you for joining us throughout the season.
Thank you guys for everything that you do, and thank you guys for supporting Cobra Nation and doing all this for Jackson Heights community.